Hi, welcome back. I'm Paul Friedman, and the topic today is I can't listen to my wife anymore. And you could see why this can't just be written. It's because part of this is just the frustration that men go through, and maybe you're going through it too, when you hear your wife through the lens of a male, I'm going to just say it, of a male lens. And women express themselves so differently. Men don't hear all the nuances in what somebody is saying or what's going on. We're very direct. We're very simple. So when somebody tells us something, it works. That's it. Tell me what to do. And a woman expresses herself very differently. And the thing I want to point out to you, number one, is you have to learn not so much how to listen to her, but you have to hear how what's happening inside your head is that you're focused on being bombarded rather than her beauty, who she was to you when you first met her, how you love her. And instead, what you're trying to do is unravel what she's saying. Just get to the point. Just get to the point, right? Well, the way I used to describe to men who would come to see me, I think will help you understand this better. By the way, I used to be a divorce mediator. And in 2001, when a couple asked me to help them save their marriage, I completely shifted my focus because I realized, holy mackerel, there just isn't the knowledge out there about marriage that is required in order to have a good marriage. Let's face it, if you want to learn how to fly a plane, and I learned how to fly a plane, it was fairly complex. Even learning how to drive a car, it's fairly complex. And you have to learn all of these things, or in both cases, you're going to die. And the reason why there's such a terrible statistic for successful marriages is because we don't have good education about marriage in the world. The world hasn't caught up to what marriage is. And unfortunately, what happened was, well, think of it this way. Way back when, even before I was a kid, in the 50s, when you got married, that was it. In fact, you probably, not you, but the person who got married, didn't date anyone else. They fell in love, they proposed, and the husband went to work and the wife went to work in the household, raising children. It was very simple. And there wasn't much divorce. I'm not saying that everyone was spectacularly happy, not necessarily, but because they didn't really have an out. Getting a divorce wasn't like the kind of option that exists today. And then what happened in the 60s, there was this cultural revolution that began with things that, I hate to say it, but it turned everybody into a slut. Everybody felt sex free for all because of the advent of the pill, because of having the ability to get an abortion, because, you know what happened. And pretty soon the whole idea of sex became very different than what it was for when you were married. It was sex outside of marriage was very taboo. And now it's not. And so the whole thing is all mixed up. And so what happened was, if there was a problem in the home, even you would say, I just can't listen to my wife anymore. And you would go to a rabbi, or you would go to a priest or a minister, and you could confide in them. It reminds me of a wonderful story where it happens to be a Jewish story. I love this story. And a man once went to his rabbi, this is way back, and he said, Rabbi, I can't take it anymore. It's so noisy in my house. And the rabbi said, do you have any chickens? He said, of course I have chickens. He says, okay, move the chickens into the house. Rabbi, just do as I say. So he did. He moved his chickens into his house. And then after a week, he said, Rabbi, it's even worse. The chickens make so much noise all the time. The rooster's waking me up. And oh my God, the rabbi said, do you have a cow? He says, yes, I have a cow. What does that have to do with anything? He says, move the cow into the house. A very good, obedient Jewish man moved his cow into the house. A week goes by. And he says, Rabbi, I'm dying here. The noise level is much higher than even what I was coming to you about before. And the rabbi said, I have an idea. Move the chickens and the cow into the barn. He did. He said, Rabbi, you're a genius. It's so quiet in my house. It's perspective to a great degree. But it goes further than that. Because the perspective that you should have been taught, and we weren't taught, is that the love that we have for our wife is supposed to transcend all the normal stuff of life, including her quote-unquote ways. Now, many men suffer from this. You're not alone. And I used to tell men, I said, listen, if you were to open up the skull of a man, you would see straight lines, blocks, cubes, triangles, pyramids, a lot of logic going on in our minds. If you opened up the skull of a woman, you would see spaghetti boiling in the pot, thoughts mixed with emotions and memories and all kinds of stuff. Isn't that true? But we don't marry our wife because she can communicate the way we communicate. We marry our wives because we realize her heart opens up to us in ways that we have never experienced before. And that love that we feel for our wife, when we put aside our stipulations of how she should behave, the love that we have for our wives is incomparable. And it's up to us to control our mind. I guarantee you this, you'll never be able to control your wife. And it's just, we can't control anyone but ourselves. Think about it in that simple a term. The ability to control another human being is zero. Zero. The ability to control our own mind, which means how we think, how we feel, what we experience, how we filter things, 100% on us and doable. But we go with our emotions. And you can't do that in a marriage. You cannot go with your emotions because your emotions are this reactive software in the mind. And we're not our minds anyway. So the answer to this dilemma, this problem, which is, trust me, not yours alone, is to tell your mind, your focus, really tell your mind, talk to your mind and say, what are you doing, mind? You're interfering with the joy I have from loving my wife. And so what if she says this and says that? What if she behaves this way? It doesn't matter. It's the love that is the focus of the marriage, the love. You know, you hear so many people say, well, I don't get along with my wife anymore. I think we have changed. Well, I got news for you. You never got along like how you imagine you should get along ever. You're a man and she's a woman. To expect her to understand you or expect you to understand her is insane. It doesn't work. We don't have that capacity. And it's really that simple. So put aside these thoughts. Put them aside. And don't go, whoa, I listened to this whole video and all he's saying is put aside my thoughts. Heck yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's where the power is. For you to control your mind, put aside these negative thoughts, refocus your energy, your mind, back to the love that you have for her, the love that she has for you, the life that you have together on that level. And if you don't have that life on that level, it's very simple why. because we were never taught how to live marriage, going back to what I was talking about before. And for that, you could read one of my books, you could take the course for men, you could listen to these videos, but you have to understand, marriage is a science. It is. There is a mechanical attribute to every single thing in this universe, including marriage. And if you don't learn the rules of the road, you're going to wrap yourself around the proverbial tree. That's it. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. Leave a comment if you'd like, and it could even be a snide remark. I'll just remove it anyway. And then I'm here to help you with your marriage. It's really that simple. All of us here at the Marriage Foundation are here for that purpose. You could even write to us. It's free. Go to the website and tap on Ask a Counselor, and away you go. God bless you, and take care. Thanks.